So episode 304, how much risk?
How much risk?
How much risk is our type?
So we're going to be doing a bunch of extras, kind of podcast extras, not for the radio show, but just for our community of people. These are scary times. And so we want to walk life. We do walk life with people. And so we just want to be there with them and helping them think through some of the decisions they're making as we get into this. And so, great.
So Jason, do you feel prepared for this stock market volatility that's going on?
Oh man, rise and shine. Mm-hmm. I'm reminded, and a lot of people don't know this, but Parker Financial, the independent fee-based investment advisory firm that I started in 2007. We were born in the darkness. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you think about the timing of starting an independent fee-based investment advisory firm, 2007, 2008, I mean, we just barely had the doors open and we're smack dab in the middle of the financial crisis. And so it was shortly after that I wrote my book, Sound Retirement Planning, because walking real life with real people and seeing the effects of extreme market volatility, I said there's got to be a better way to help people on this journey so that people are never in a position again where they're experiencing these kind of significant drawdowns at a time when they're retired. And so, Emilia, I'm just reminded the work that we do is important in the good times. It's nice to be able to be in the good times and build the plan. But when the bad times hit, when things like this, all of this volatility that's going on in the market, right, hit, this is go time. This is when it's like, man, I'm so grateful that we did the work, that we put together the strategies and the plans for people we did, so that when these times hit, they can sleep well at night. They're not worried. Now, that's not to say they're not experiencing any of the volatility, because they're experiencing some of it, but it's the appropriate amount for what they should be experiencing at whatever phase of life they were in when they came to talk to us. And everybody's situation is completely unique and different because we customize everything we do for every person that walks in the door. And so, yeah, we were prepared going into this, and that's a great position for our clients to be in. And actually, I've been sharing that verse, Psalm 23, and I've just really been thinking about that shepherd being in the field and the shepherd with his rod and his staff. And kind of the realization I had the other day, we talked about how, the rod and the staff and what that does for the shepherd. The staff steadies him, the rod protects. And as you're getting ready to go into the darkest valley, you want to make sure that your shepherd is well prepared. You don't want the shepherd going out and trying to figure out where the rod and staff is in the midst of the darkest valley, right? It's like we want to go into this thing well prepared. And that's what I think we do when we create the plans for the people that we serve. So yeah, I'm excited. At the same time, I know there's a lot of people out there that were not as prepared as they could have been. And so that's why we have to do these regular communications. We have to over-communicate with people right now. We have to let them know what to expect going forward and how to structure things. So, yeah.
That's great. That's very important. So, Jason, what did you learn by living through the financial crisis of 2008?
Yeah, well, I think one of the unique perspectives that we have is because there's so much noise out there about how you should invest and what you should be doing. But when you specifically work with a very specific demographic, which in our case is helping people make this transition into retirement, we think different about investing than most of the rest of the world. And the reason for it is the people that we serve, they don't have income. Many of them don't have income anymore. They don't have their job. All they have is what they've saved. And so I've learned that the good times are nice, but nobody ever calls me when the market's doing really well. When people start to get nervous, when the market is falling apart, when it drops 19% in 2 weeks, that's when people really start to feel unsettled. I had a gentleman walk by me the other day. I was at my daughter's basketball game, and he's been retired for a long time, and he said, boy, my retirement's going away. Now, he's not a client of ours, but that's just a really scary place to be. So what I've learned by working with real people making this transition into retirement is that most people, when I talk to them, what's the purpose of the money? What is it that we're trying to accomplish? They never say to me, Jason, we're trying to beat the market, or that we're trying to match the market. With their money, what they usually say is, we just want to know that we're going to be okay, that we're going to have enough income to last the rest of our life. We're not trying to hit any home runs at this phase of our life. They said, if we can just earn a couple of points above inflation in the good times, we'd be happy, but in the bad times, not get wiped out. So when you read my book, you recognize that we were born in the darkness. We were born in the fire. We were born in the financial crisis. And all of the structure, all the strategies came out of saying, let's never be in this position again. And so that's why I feel so good about the work that we do, and just encourage people that there's a better way to do things. Now, the other thing I want to say here, Emilia, real quick, is I was talking with a person the other day, and they have a 401k. And he said to me, Jason, I really don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so that was a good realization. And he doesn't want to figure out what he's doing. And so then the question becomes, well, if you don't know really what you're doing, and you don't want to take the time to figure out what you're doing, then does it make sense to have somebody help you do this in a better way? And of course, that would be the logical decision. But what I've learned is that sometimes people are so afraid of change that they will continue to experience pain just because they don't want to have to go through the process of change. And so I just want to encourage people out there that change is a hard thing to do. And unfortunately, most of us don't make a change until the pain of what we're currently doing gets to that boiling point where it's so hot where we say, I can't do this anymore. Now I got to figure out something different.
Yeah. Wow. It is hard for change, but I just wanted to share a little something too. Just yesterday, you're talking about how secure our clients feel. And I had someone come in and just say, thank you. Just because they're like, with everything that's going on, we know we're okay. And it was just a good feeling, because I was like, yeah, I'll share that with everyone, because it is a good feeling to know that you're going to be okay, even though things are changing.
Yeah. Exactly. And things, yeah. And the thing we need to remember is that the market is very emotional, because it's this collection of people, and most people are very emotional. And we talk about not making emotional decisions about our money, but that's what the trap that so many people fall into. And everybody remembers so vividly what it was like to live through the financial crisis that, we're seeing this panic selling happening again, and it's hurting some people.
Yeah. So Jason, how much money should people have at risk in retirement?
Yeah. So the rule of thumb, and you got to be careful with the rules of thumb, because we all have different sized thumbs. That's why each plan needs to be custom tailored to each person, each couple. But the rule of thumb is whatever your age is equals low risk money. So if you're 70 years old, you'd have 70% of your portfolio allocated towards a more low risk position. If you're 60, you'd have 60% allocated towards a more low risk position. Now, that doesn't always ring true, because in some instances, when people have really good guaranteed income, let's say they're 70 years old, but they've got $15,000 a month of guaranteed income coming in, $20,000 a month of guaranteed income from different sources, and their budget only requires $10,000 a month. Well, they've got a guarantee amount of income much higher, and maybe those numbers are a little out of whack for most people. So let's say instead of 15 or 20,000, let's say they have $6,000 a month coming in from guaranteed income. So they have pension, Social Security, maybe a little bit of annuity, guaranteed income. And then their budget requires $4,000 a month. So they're still running a surplus. They've got $6,000 coming in. They've got $4,000 going out. Well, those people are in a position where they can't afford to take more risk with their investments, because they're not going to really need to dip into it to depend on. But the people that need to depend on it, those are the folks that need to be thinking a little bit different about this.
Yeah. Thank you. And so, Jason, how does diversification work in retirement?
Yeah. So there's two steps. I'm always telling people, when in retirement, the first thing we do is we diversify when we're going to need the money. So money that we need in the short term, we want to take less risk with. Money that we need in the long term, we're going to take more risk with. So the very first step is just to determine when we're going to need the resources. And then once we determine how much money we're going to need in these different segments, then we take the appropriate amount of risk. We use the best financial tool for whatever that segment is. So money that you need in the short term, say 0 to 3 years or 0 to 5 years, depending on your risk tolerance, you want that money to be relatively low risk. So when times like this happen, and they always happen, I remember just a couple of months ago, we were talking about what was it at the time? Oh, it was the presidential election, and it was the impeachment, and there's all these other things to worry about. There was the China trade wars. There's always something to worry about in the markets. But when you're in retirement and you know that you've got some cash on hand to help cover your shortfall, or the difference between what your budget is and what your income is, then you don't worry as